Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, September 11th, 2016. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls are child souls from the smaller subatomic, and the era of misdirection continues, so we continue to need to work with game theory in all aspects of this work to minimize the disruption that misdirection results in.
That's true.
It's interesting what's happening right now is that no one is asking any questions. There's no input whatsoever from above, no
That's
questions
true.
And no guidance. It's just quiet.
That's true.
So what game theory would say is that we would continue to do the life path work that we've been working with all day today, that would continue for the formally videoed portions of today's efforts.
That's
and
true.
We will continue to overcompensate, and in that way to help all aspects of self let go of plans that aren't going to happen.
That's true.
And with that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. And right away now, the questions start with, what do I know?
That's true.
And let's see if I can get what they're getting at. I think I see what they're getting at, is that sometimes we believe that we are overcompensating because we think this is as bad as it could possibly get.
That's true.
And what that means is that we're beginning to head in the direction of seeing what we really need to see, that it's just so inconvenient that we're wired to not see it.
That's true.
All right, well, so that implies that we haven't overcompensated enough.
That's true.
So let's overcompensate some more. See if we can reach way behind us and find the aim here point.
Yes.
And I hit something that could be
That
it.
could be it.
Pushing the wall, and as in swimming, we are the ones who adjust, but the feeling is of pushing the wall.
That's true.
And overcompensating. Something's opening up in the
Something's
head.
opening up in the head and in the back, too.
Yes. And let's see if there's any more overcompensation that would be helpful. And to be doing this up and down the Search for Truth Central Axis for all aspects of self in all dimensions who intend to participate or who wish to participate
That's true.
in aligning with what is actually possible in life. All aspects of self who wish to align with what is possible and let go of impossibilities. Stop tilting with windmills.
That's true.
To the Search for Truth Central Axis. Stick your hand behind you. Find the wall to push off of. And push off. I feel multiple presences beginning to engage in this process.
That's true.
Who they are, I can't quite tell, but I do feel person after person engaging.
That's true. Many hands pushing.
Many hands, not all at the same time.
That's true.
That aim here column doesn't look as dark, it's a little lighter.
That's true. I see that.
Now let's pump up the smaller subatomic children. Get as many of the children through this opening as we can get through right now, because we don't know how long this opening will last.
That's true.
It might shut in 2 minutes.
That's true.
And to the children, go straight up the Search for Truth Central Axis. Don't step out of the pillar of light. It's as bad as it is in the light, it's worse in the shadow.
That's true.
Keep going until you get to someone who can raise the vibrations even higher.
That's true.
And if they say that they're raising the vibrations but it feels icky, they aren't really raising the vibrations.
That's true.
Keep going and expect you're going to have to go past many, 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 many people who tell you they're raising the vibrations.
That's true.
And who don't. Just keep going. My attention keeps being brought to that corner.
Whoa.
And, right? That's
Whoa.
significant.
What is the message?
It's not good. It's
That's
something
not good.
up high that is not good.
That's true.
That it's kind of off the central axis,
That's true.
off to the side, and it's just stagnant and not good.
That's true.
And that's what's right off the Search for Truth central axis.
That's true. And full of dead bodies.
Full of dead bodies. Okay, got it. And what might be egg cases, I don't know.
That's true.
All of us who are willing to acknowledge obvious realities to the Search for Truth central axis, all others flung away. And now let's try to push a little bit more. I can feel like we're supposed to lock it into
I
place.
feel that.
And if we can get it to lock, it feels like it's locking into place.
Feel the locking feeling.
Then now we'll bifurcate all of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities to the Search for Truth central axis, all others flung away. I feel a big upflow from the smaller subatomic children.
Me too.
I only feel smaller subatomic children willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities.
That's true.
There's an exodus feeling upstairs.
That's true.
It's just too inconvenient. We understand.
We understand.
We know that feeling.
That's true.
Let's overcompensate some more. Bifurcate even higher, get these kids going. Is there a pure child directly on the Search for Truth central axis who's willing to pull up the top end of the cabling system, who's willing to pull up the top pulley? Is there a pure child?
Is there?
There is somebody.
I feel a hand, a young hand.
It's young, but it's not baby.
That's true.
It's a child's hand, a thin child's hand.
That's true.
It looks like a smallest subatomic child's hand, but it's way up there.
That's true.
And when I say that, I get a lot of waves back. Hi.
I see waves.
So there are a bunch of smaller subatomic children way up high now. Good for you guys. Keep
That's
going,
true.
keep going. They say we want the cables. Okay, here you go.
That's
Take
true.
them. Pull them up.
The cable's up.
Bifurcating a little bit to straighten it. All of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities. That clears it when we bifurcate for all of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities.
That's true.
It seems to clear away everybody in larger and less dense dimensions.
That's true.
And leave only the children from the smaller subatomic who are coming from smaller and more dense dimensions and who know that what is channeling is accurate.
That's true.
They know it from harsh personal experience.
That's true.
Okay. Well, saying to the closing process, go straight up and don't stop until you reach a consistent source of significantly higher vibration, and assume many people are going to try to intercept you claiming to be sources of higher vibration.
That's true.
And until they raise the vibration and it actually feels better, it isn't really happening.
That's true.
And what do I know? I know that it can also feel better momentarily when we give up on our soul plan and say, I'm not going to do it. Oh, thank goodness. And then we pretend that we're off the hook.
That's true.
And then it takes a while for us to realize we aren't off the hook and
That's
pick it up
true.
again. But in that moment of letting go, it can also feel good, letting go of what we're supposed to hold on to.
That's
And
true.
so our feelings are actually not a consistent indicator of what we're really supposed to be doing,
That's true.
because we're not aware of our foundational background, unexamined beliefs, and the thoughts that are creating the emotional reaction.
Well, now the closing process is asking, how do I know if I've actually gotten to a consistent source of significantly higher vibrations?
Because they will say, I've been waiting for you. They'll give you a hand up. They'll say, come on, let's go. Take you farther up, and it won't be a trick. We'll only know in hindsight, in other words. Only in hindsight it will become clear.
I feel nodding feelings from the closing process.
Okay.
Only in hindsight.
Only in hindsight. Well, if it's only in hindsight that we can know, then it's important to keep pushing even after we think we've accomplished it.
That's true.
And in such a way, maybe we'll actually stumble across the finish line.
That's true. What is it?
But we aren't supposed to leave the United States and go live in a third world country like the Philippines where it's cheap to live. We aren't supposed to do that.
No.
That's
I don't
not
think
the
we're supposed to do
assignment.
that.
That's never been the assignment. It is
No.
not consistent with game theory.
That's true.
You guys give such bad advice. Going to ignore you. That didn't come from a smaller subatomic child.
No, that's
And
true.
everybody who is larger, 100% fail rate is best we can tell. You guys don't want to acknowledge inconvenient realities. Why would
That's
we
true.
listen to you?
Why would
That doesn't
we
even make any sense. We're just going to listen to the smaller subatomic children. And unfortunately, they're only able to say things to the level that we are,
That's
along
true.
the lines of, something's wrong here. Take a
That's
look
true.
at this. It doesn't feel right. Watch out for that.
That's true.
Okay.